Yes guys, might have a double episode special today. So I spoke about Arsenal in the last video, looking forward to our biggest game of the season obviously, and now we're going to get into the games last night. So obviously we had Aston Villa and Barcelona both in action. Well, you know what the fixtures were, you know what the results were most likely, but we don't want to talk. We're not going to talk about like the results or whatever. We'll talk about the actual games. So obviously, I don't know how many people would have watched the Villa game. I don't know how many people would have watched the Barcelona game. But the Villa game I thought was very interesting because PSG finally showed some cracks in the knockout stages. I think they've been all conquering so far in the knockouts, and they showed yesterday there are some cracks in this team. And they still have that mentality weakness, I think. They just about got over the line against Villa. I think that was an absolute sucker punch, that Nuno Mendes goal. It's just very... Villa obviously had to push for the goal. They had to push for a goal from the start. And it just cost them with 2 counter-attacks. So I think the key thing is that this tie changed. The pivotal moment in this tie was the Nuno Mendes goal in the 92nd minute back in Paris. That's where this tie went on its head. Because if that doesn't go in, Aston Villa come into this game needing a goal, but they're not having to push from the off as much. They probably don't go 2-0 down in the first 20 minutes or whatever it is. But then we saw in the second half, and even before that, to be fair, Villa had chances. Like, they created some good opportunities, and PSG looked a bit flustered. Rashford almost got a great goal unless Donnarumma made an outstanding save. To be fair to me, I've given him his criticism, but it's a great save from him last night. Kept this team in front, and yeah, I'm still not convinced about Donnarumma corners. I still think he flaps at them, so I think that could be a massive thing if Arsenal were to get through. Obviously with our set pieces, that could be huge against PSG. I remember pretty sure we scored a set piece against them last time we played them. And I just think it's going to depend who's at home in that first leg in the semi-final. I cannot remember who's going to be. Because if you're away to PSG like Villa were in that first game, I don't think Arsenal can see 3 goals to PSG. I think Arsenal go there, be stingy, maybe even get out of a 0-0, I'm not going to lie to you. And then at home, I back us against any team in the world. So, PSG definitely showed some fragilities last night. Whether or not it's going to be enough for another team to break them down, I don't know. But I think while they have fragilities, they're not an unbeatable team, and that's what they've shown. They're not this all-conquering European power. They're still very inexperienced as well in Europe. I know some of these players have been to a final before, but not all of them have. Quite a few of them haven't. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle the pressure of a semi-final. If the same thing happened in the semi-final, maybe they don't get through. Maybe Nuno Mendes doesn't make that block in the last minute. So yeah, I think while they've been impressive, they've also shown that mentality is still a little bit in them. You know, I think if they were going to be solid and give us a real performance, to show them that nah, we're here to win it. The response to going in 2-1 half-time would have been to kick on from there, shock Villa with another early goal, or just be a bit more disciplined and hold it. Like you were 5-3 up? No, 5-2 up. So that game should never fall into a game of last minute chances, last minute goal. That should never happen. If you're 5-2 up at half time, that shouldn't happen, especially if you want to be potentially competing for this competition. So definitely some cracks appearing, and cracks that can be taken advantage of, for sure. In terms of the other game, Barcelona, I thought Dortmund were excellent. I think they were unlucky. Obviously, they scored a couple of offside goals, and I thought Barcelona were quite poor actually. I think they crumbled a little bit in the atmosphere maybe. They obviously got their goal in the end. Wasn't really a clean goal. Obviously they just got it last off her own goal. Poor defending really. Couldn't get his feet sorted out. But I think the key thing was, again, Barcelona they've been smacking teams left, right, centre. And while they went through yesterday and they were already 4-0 up, they looked poor. Again, they looked like they crumbled it a little bit. And the goal they scored was obviously going to be enough to get them through. But that high liner there, you could expose it. I think a better team with more intelligent movement in that final third take advantage of that high line a lot more. And it's just calling out for like a third man runner. So I do look at Inter Milan. I think Inter Milan could beat Barcelona when they get through. I'm very confident they'll go through Bayern Munich tonight. Maybe like a 2-0 or 2-1 or even just a 1-1 draw gets them through, you know. I think Inter Milan could do Barcelona in that semi-final again. I just think they will. I think Barca's defence it's a crazy high line they play, and it's just asking to be taken advantage of. And all it needs is a third man runner a couple of times in the game, and then they're in. They struggled at set pieces yesterday. Szczesny wasn't convincing at any point in the game for me, and they just couldn't live with Dortmund. So this Barca team's obviously still quite a young team, and we're going to mention that word again. They're quite inexperienced in Champions League. You know, they haven't gone to that stages for many years, and there's a huge pressure on these guys at that club to win it again. So if anything, it might be harder for Barcelona to perform because of that pressure that these young players have got on them. Yeah, so I think those fragilities might actually come to the fore in the semi-finals, and I think, look, listen, the Nou Camp, they're going to be hard to play, they're going to be hard to beat, but I still look at Inter Milan as my team maybe where I go, you could do it. Who would I want to play if Arsenal would get all the way to the final, or between them two? It's tricky. Part of me says I'd want to have Barcelona, because I just know Inter Milan are that stingy at the back and that good that they might not even concede. We obviously played Inter Milan this season already, and we already struggled in that game. So, but anyway, we've got many more things to think about before then. What my point is Barcelona and PSG, while they've been excellent this season in the competition, they've shown last night that you can get at these teams. They're not perfect sides. It's not like it's not like they're prime City or prime Real Madrid where you just feel like, ugh, we're never going to get through. I think you saw last night the teams they played against actually thought for a minute they might get through. I think Dortmund's kick in the teeth was that conceding that sloppy goal, but then even at 5-3, you saw the fans and the players, they thought they had a chance to get 2 goals in the last 15 minutes against the Barcelona side. But in the end, obviously, they both got over the line. It doesn't matter if it's convincing, they got the job done in the end. But going forward for the semi-finals, I think those games could be crucial in terms of looking at how semi-finals could pan out and how these teams can be got at. I think when Arsenal get through, I think we have to look at the blueprint Aston Villa gave us and copy that basically. At least for the second leg, I think they were great in the second leg, Villa. Apart from being a bit naive in the first 20 minutes, pushing too hard. But that can be to do with the experience of players in the Champions League. It can be the emotion of it. It can be getting dragged into it by the fans. Like, obviously they were chasing the game, so there's going to be a lot of emotion tied to it. yeah, but that is everything I think from last night of all the talking points. I don't think there's many controversial ref decisions. I think that Aston Villa ref kind of just couldn't handle the occasion yesterday. I think he had a pretty poor game. There were some weird decisions in the game yesterday for Villa. And I'm just hoping that the game tonight with Real Madrid for Arsenal, the ref can handle the occasion and doesn't just crumble to Real Madrid, which has happened before the Champions League. Like, we know it has. UEFA have come out and apologised many times about Real Madrid decisions. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for coming along today. Hopefully you enjoy the games tonight, and hopefully Arsenal can whoop Real Madrid again. I will catch you all in the next one, and peace.